hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Jerry and Jamie 2 Up.
Hello,
I'm Jerry, and this is
Jamie.
Jamie, my beautiful wife. Welcome back to our episode number 6 of the Jerry and Jamie 2 Up podcast. And this week, we are going to do a short and sweet, quick little episode. But until then, we hope you guys are being good. Hope the weather's been good for you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Arkansas, anyway.
The weather's been great.
Except today.
Yeah, but one day it's fine.
We almost got blown away today.
And yeah, we didn't get to. We have family in Dallas, and they had a lot of tornadoes and stuff yesterday. It was pretty brutal. We did dodge that part of it, so that was good.
We did. Thank goodness, because our little school community was a little on edge yesterday with being in temporary trailers because of the tornadoes last year.
So we hope you guys are doing fine. Hope you got to get out on your motorcycle and ride a little bit. We have got to get a battery for the Versus. I went to get on it last weekend. The battery's dead, so we have to do that. I just got to find some time to do that. It's been a little crazy around here. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So we're going to talk about this week's episode. First thing we're going to talk about is upcoming events. And these are events that we are going to attend, but we might not attend together because poor Jamie's got to go to school.
Yeah. Someone has to bring home the bacon.
Right. And then we're going to talk about this week's featured motorcycle. And each week I'm going to kind of talk about a featured motorcycle. Last week it was the Bimota. This week we've got a really cool thing. And even Jamie thought it looked pretty cool.
It's really, really cool.
Our main topic for the night is going to be a blast from the past. And we're going to talk about our over favorite bikes. Whatever that means.
Favorite.
We need to fire whoever's doing these.
Well, no, that makes sense. Blast from the past over favorite bikes. So you're talking about over our favorite bikes.
There you go. See, I knew what I was doing.
See, I can translate for him. And I know Jerry. I speak Jerry.
I hope you guys do too. So, and then we're going to have a quick little chat about her scooter life. And Jamie's going to be attending a rally for scooter people.
Ooh.
So we'll let her tell you about that. But first thing we're going to talk about is some upcoming events. And this is the North Georgia Classic. And this is in Dillard, Georgia on April 17th through the 20th. I am going to try to attend this. It depends on the weather. That is early in the year. So we don't know how that's going to go, but we're going to try to make it, or yeah. I'm going to try to make it.
Yeah, I can't go because that's actually our testing window for school. So I can't go.
So I'll see if I'm going to go. It's on my radar, but that's all going to depend on weather for us. But if you guys are around and you're there in the South and it's a nice weekend, the rally looks amazing. I'm looking forward to going. I hope I can get to go.
If you've never ridden in that area, you really, really should. Suchus and that whole area is just absolutely beautiful.
It's really nice, yeah. So then we have a little event that we kind of host here, the Ozark Escape, which is May 1st through 3rd up in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It's going to be fun. We've already got about 35 people signed up already. This year, we're going to make it a little more structured. We did charge a fee this year, but half of that money is going to go to the event. So we're going to water and stuff like that. And the other half, we're going to find a charity to give the other part to. But we hope you guys get to visit. We are going to have a dinner on Saturday night. We'll have a registration table on Thursday, Friday. So we'll be sitting through that. It'll be Jamie or myself or somebody will be at the table. Then we'll go riding on Friday and Saturday, and then everybody will head home Sunday. But if you haven't ridden in the Ozarks, it'll be a great chance. This is from a couple years ago. Everybody seems to have a pretty good time while we're here.
And we'll have both street and off-road rides.
Yep. So stay tuned for that. We're really looking forward. Go to that website right there at the top. That one right there at the top.
That one. MotoAdrenalinTours.com/Ozark Escape.
And you'll be able to sign up for the event and do that. The next one is TriStar in Sparta, North Carolina. And I am so excited for this rally. This will be the first time I attend this. And my friend Bob Burdett and I are going to be riding to this rally. And I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard nothing but great things. Lugano puts it on for the MSTA. So we are really looking forward to that. So I will see
Yes.
you in Sparta, North Carolina. We are actually going to ride. We're not trailering to this rally unless the weather is bad. But for the most part, I think we're going to jump on the bikes and take a couple days and get out there and kind of give some support to that area because they got beat up pretty good last year. And hopefully we'll go and spend a little money in that area and help them out a little bit.
That's my last week of school, so I won't be going to that one either.
But that means she's done after that. So we've got a good summer going. So
Oh yeah,
she'll have plenty of stuff to do.
I have plenty to look forward to.
The featured motorcycle of the week is the Speed Triple 1200 RR, the James Bond edition.
Now that is a sexy bike.
That is a very cool looking bike. And if you look at the website, look at that thing. So it's a James Bond edition. Look how pretty that is.
Now we just need to know who the new James Bond is going to be riding it.
But yeah, so I just thought I would show you. Look at that little 60th anniversary James Bond. I guess they're going to make 60 of them. That's it.
That's really cool.
So I'm sure you're going to pay a nice little premium to have one of the 60.
60 for 60.
But then you can look. So they also have different versions. So they're going to have a bobber version. I think that if we go here, we're going to see their bobber version.
Yeah, so maybe they'll do 60 of each version.
Maybe, yeah. So, yeah, it looks like they're going to have a Tiger edition, which is pretty cool. That looks really cool too.
Limited to just 250 worldwide.
Okay, so and they're sold out already. So Jamie was going to get me one.
So sorry,
but I guess we're not getting that. But there's the Scrambler edition, and it's sold out as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty cool,
and
though.
That one said 2,000. How many?
Oh,
from the 2020.
Yeah,
okay.
From the 2020. Yeah. So if you guys got a lot of money and you want to go buy it from somebody else, go check out the James Bond edition Triumph. But that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
It looks really neat. I like
that one in particular will only be 60.
Yeah, and yeah, so I'm sure it's already a $30,000 motorcycle, so it's a lot of money. I don't think I'll be having one.
That one we would have to actually find a spot in the office to put it and not ride it because
right. Oh no, we would ride it, but we would put it right there, and it would be art. And we could clean it up. We could clean it up and do that. So, so that's our featured bike of the week. So that's pretty cool, though. I do like that.
I do too.
So now we're going to talk about our main topic, and that is a blast from the past, a look back on motorcycles that have brought us the most joy.
Baby, riding with you is joy enough.
Oh my gosh, everybody. I know. So on this picture here, this is what started our riding journey together.
Yes, it is.
What is a 2005 Kawasaki Concourse C10?
It was the anniversary edition.
It was the anniversary, 25th.
25.
Yeah, something like that. And then that's our friend Rob's, his Triumph
Tiger.
No, 1050 Sprint.
Sprint. That's right.
Sorry, and this was a trip to North Carolina.
Yes, it is, because that's off of the Dragon.
Off the
right
Dragon
there.
Yep. So
our favorite spot to stop.
So we're going to go talk about, I think I picked about 10 bikes, and we're going to tell stories about it. So sit back, get a nice little beverage, and hang out with us for a little bit. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the 2005 Kawasaki Concourse. And when Jamie and I started dating, so I've been without a motorcycle one time in my life since I was 15. And it was right when we met.
Mm-hmm. He didn't have any.
I didn't have a bike. I was trying to be that mature with a son and all that. And
didn't last long.
No, it was killing me. And we were riding. It was kind of funny. We were in my Jeep going to Sandia Crest.
Yep.
And up in Albuquerque. And we're following this guy on a Gold Wing, and he was horrible.
Yeah, we were actually coming down the mountain, and he was on his brakes. He was all over the road. He just couldn't handle the bike. And Jerry just kept saying, I could do so much better. I could do so much better. And we were actually in the process, like we were about a month away from moving to Dallas. And so we talked about it, and instead of buying one in Albuquerque and shipping it over to Dallas, we just decided let's look when we get over there. I hadn't actually been on a bike since I was in grade school when my dad used to pick me up. And so, it was going to be, hey, a trial kind of thing. And we got to Dallas and he fell in love with this one and
Yeah,
we
this
bought it.
we bought it from Plano Kawasaki Suzuki. It was the first bike we started buying from
Yep.
them, and I'd always liked I like the sport touring part of it, of course, and wanted something that two of us could ride, and it worked out really good. I remember the first time we took it for a trip. We went to Tulsa to visit Jamie's sister,
Mhm.
and Jamie fell asleep on the back of it. So,
I warned him. To be fair, I warned him and said, "You better strap me to you because I will fall asleep on the back." And he didn't believe that I could.
so
And at
she
the
doesn't do that anymore,
and
though.
at the time, we didn't have a top case. We didn't have any
Intercom.
intercom system or anything like that. It was a hot trip. It was boring, and I fell asleep just long enough to tap him in the back of the head with my helmet, and I woke up, and I don't do that anymore.
So, unfortunately, this bike ended up its demise on the side of the road here in Arkansas.
Hmm.
We had a
On 16.
16 over by Boston. We had a
Yep.
little get off. Jamie's scapula paid for it, but the good news was she was 6 months later. She was ready to go, and or 6 weeks later, I guess.
6 weeks later, I
And
actually couldn't use my shoulder, but I put a jacket on and I got back on the bike because I knew if I didn't, I never would.
so so this was this was the bike that kind of first got us started. So that's pretty cool, huh?
It
And
is.
and we didn't put a lot of miles on this bike because we only had it for about 8 months.
Yeah.
Didn't last too long, but
No,
no, I guess about a year and eight
we
months.
had it in almost 2 years.
Yeah, a year
Yeah.
and 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We put about 12,000 miles on it, I think. Yeah. So
yeah,
the next bike we're going to talk about is my first motorcycle. So yes, folks, that's me up there with hair all svelte.
he did have hair when I met him.
Um, my dad rode this motorcycle, and he wanted a new motorcycle, and so I think he wanted me to go riding so he could give me his motorcycle. So I took the class, the motorcycle safety class, and the CX500 was the first motorcycle that I owned. I was 16 when we got it and put a lot of miles on it, and it was a very good machine. And come to find out later, all these years later, the reason there's a Honda Deluxe CX500 there is Jamie's dad rode that motorcycle.
Yep. So when I mentioned earlier that I was picked up through grade school on the bike, it was actually my stepdad, and that is all he rode when my mom and I met him. And well, that's not true. He had a truck and camper, but he used in fact, my mom bought him the motorcycle so that he could go to work from the east side of town to the west side of town. And he used to pick me up from kindergarten and elementary school, and he would put me on the tank in front of him, let me wear his helmet, which of course, if I turned my head, it would stay. It was too big, but he tried. And I actually have a lot of memories of my mom and dad. My mom would ride on it with us, and they'd put me between them, and we had a great time. And that was my first experience with motorcycles.
Those are the days where we did stupid stuff or
Stupid
people
stuff.
thought it was
Yeah.
stupid stuff. Yeah. So so we have a tie to the CX500
Yep.
custom. The gutless wonder, I called them, because they didn't have a lot of they do use a lot of the deluxes now to make cafe bikes with. So the next one these are some of my dad's old school motorcycles that kind of inspired my whole love of motorcycling as well. um, we didn't have a lot of money, lived in a mobile home park, but my dad always had really nice motorcycles. And I remember when he bought the 900 BMW down below, that was his baby. And you talk about somebody who cleaned it and made sure that thing was spotless all the time. He rode the heck out of it. The Water Buffalo up above, the Suzuki up there, that was the Water Buffalo water cooled motorcycle. It was heavy. it was not a very good motorcycle, but he loved it. And then, of course, the Honda was probably the earliest bike I remember him having. But that's what started it all for me was getting to see these motorcycles. So I thought I would include those in there. Now this motorcycle has a good story, and we put 85,000 miles on this motorcycle. Uh, when we wrecked the concourse, we didn't have a lot of money. We had three kids at home and kind of doing that, and so we looked around and we found this for $2,500
Up in Minnesota.
up in Minnesota. So me and my friend Rob jumped in the truck. We outraced tornadoes to get there.
Yeah, it was like this time of year.
And but we went up there. The gentleman had it. He gave it to me. He handed me a whole bag full of coils and said, "You'll need these," and we did.
We did.
And but man, we had more fun on that motorcycle.
Yep. There was one weekend that it had a thermometer on it. So one weekend, because a coil went out, we were actually coming up to Mina, and it was cold weather the day that we left, and it became known as the Big Blue Thermometer.
Because it
that
didn't go
weekend.
anywhere.
It
Yeah.
did not go anywhere because with two of us up, and we didn't take the coil with us that time,
Right.
and but we ended up actually staying inside playing cards the whole weekend because it was cold
It
and
was
nasty.
too cold. Yeah. There was a group of us, about 12 bikes, and
Yeah.
we all kind of hung out and drank wine and played cards the whole weekend.
Very
so,
memorable.
But this bike, a 97 Triumph Trophy, it was great. We rode it until we basically
Killed it.
we took it to North Carolina, and on the way home, two up, we blew the rear shock out of it, and
Okay, but we were two up plus camping gear.
yeah, I should have put that picture on there.
Yes.
It was huge. So
That was huge.
we were way over the GVWR, as they say. So, but it was a great motorcycle, and it looked beautiful. When we bought it, it had
Oh, it was gorgeous.
8,000 miles on it, and
Yep.
then, like I said, we sold it with 93,000 miles on it. So we sold it to get this, which was another motorcycle we put about 75 to 80,000 miles on.
Mhm.
And we love this bike. This is kind of what turned it around for us to, we did a lot of long distance trips on this thing.
Yes, we did.
And it had tons of power. We ate through tires like a big dog.
The only negative, well, there were two negatives. It was really, really hot because it was the first year that this one came out, and
It was really
so
hot, yeah.
Jerry could move his legs, and then the heater was on for me, and then the back seat for a passenger was absolutely horrendous.
So we tried a couple seats, and she had to finally get an air hawk, but we put a tons of miles on that thing, and it was a great motorcycle.
It
So
was.
we really enjoyed that. In fact, I could go back to riding one of those, and now you can get them for dirt cheap, but
And cooled.
yeah, and a little better. They're not as hot. So
Yeah.
and this, I think this was in Colorado. You picture of you when we are outside Ray,
That was.
and so the next one was the first bike that I bought when I got out of the Navy. So, and you're going to see the first bike I bought when I was in the Navy a little later, but this is the first bike I bought when I got back to Albuquerque. Again, I wanted a sport touring motorcycle, and I bought a Honda V65 Sabre. And
Wow, how they've changed.
yeah, this bike, it was a beast. It would haul ass in a straight line. It just didn't like the corner. It had a serious little rake to it. A lot of you who are in the MSTA will have a firm knowledge of this, is because this is the bike that the club was based on back in the day with the 750s and the V45 and the V65. So, but this is the same color I had. Um, just a really cool motorcycle. It also met its demise in Albuquerque on a mountain road. It didn't want to turn as well as I thought it was going to turn. So
He was young and thought he had a lot more talent than he had, right?
yeah, I ran out of talent on that one, and but it was a great motorcycle, and I probably put 20,000 miles on that bike. So the next one, so this bike has a good story and always have a place in our heart.
Mm-hmm.
We in between the C10 that we crashed and buying the Triumph Trophy, my brother had two motorcycles, and he had this 650 V-Strom, and he loaned it to us, and we rode this thing for a year, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Put about 15,000 miles on it, and That was a good motorcycle. It
and
was.
and that was actually the first one that got us thinking about more of the, because it was supposed to be an off-road bike, which we never took it off-road, but with the height and everything like that, it actually got us looking at bikes that were like that as opposed to the lower seating.
Yeah, and so we really the V Strom we had a good time on that bike,
Yes, we did.
and really enjoyed it. So it's got a place in our heart. My brother's no longer with us, and so that'll always have
Yep,
a place in our heart.
very special.
This was our first Versus that we purchased, and it was the first one in Dallas.
Hmm.
AJ knew we wanted one. They got this orange one in,
And
and
she wasn't even supposed to get it. It arrived to her shop by surprise, but she called us first.
so we rode it. We put a good 22,000 miles on it before we bought the new Versus.
Hmm.
But this is still probably I love my Versus now, but this Versus was really nice. It was a little lighter than what we got now. It looked really cool. Everybody,
I love the color.
yeah, whenever they saw it, uh, it always grabbed people's attention,
Hmm.
and we really enjoyed that. We really enjoyed that too, and
Don't let him fool you, folks. He loves all the bells and whistles that Orca has on it right now.
oh yeah, I love all that electronic suspension and all that stuff. And but I could go back to this, and I wouldn't be bothered by going back to this something like
No.
this. So this was the first bike that I ever paid my money for, and it had to be the easiest sell that person ever had. So when I got out of boot camp, I went home after A school and I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. And when I got to Norfolk, Virginia, I was in the Navy. I didn't have any bills, so I wanted a motorcycle. And I remember, I don't know if you guys remember these ads, that Let the Good Times Roll ads, and they had these. But at the time, this was a race bike, right? Even though it was a 550 and it was slow, it looked cool. And I went into the dealership, and I remember the salesperson walking up to me and asking me if I wanted anything. And I said, "Yep, I want that." And it was in the window, that GPZ. And he said, "Well, we'll let you ride it." And I go, "It doesn't matter. I just want that." And so it was the best, probably the easiest sell that guy ever did. And the look on his face when I told him I was in the Navy, because basically automatic approval, because they knew they could take the money right out of my check. And I rode that thing. So guys, I rode this thing for 3.5 years. I don't think I ever changed the oil. I don't think I ever changed the chain. I beat the crap out of that thing. I dropped it 3 or 4 times because of being stupid.
Sat out in the horrible weather
Yeah,
in Chicago.
I'd be out on the ship on out to sea, and I'd come back and put a new battery in it, and it would start up and go. So it deserved much better than I gave it. And then when I left, I sold it for almost what I paid for it to another sailor. So that thing had a rough life, and but it was very cool looking. And I would love to find one nowadays. To be honest with you, I would like to have one. It'd be kind of cool. But the Kawasaki GPZ 550 was the first bike I ever bought. And then we come to our fantastic motorcycle.
That we lovingly named Orca.
Yeah, it's look, everybody. It's not the prettiest motorcycle on the planet, but for us and our riding style and what we like to do, it's perfect.
Yep.
We've got almost 40,000 miles on it. Uh, every time I think I want to go look at something else and I ride it, I go, it's not any better than what I got right now.
Nope.
And Jamie, it's the most comfortable bike she's ever had. And she lets me know all the time.
Yep.
And
It has to pass the butt test.
and we're not even going to talk about that. And but yeah, this bike here, it's our favorite. Most of you guys have seen it at rallies. You'll see it again at rallies this year. I love this thing, and it's going to be with us for a little while.
I
So,
love riding on it. I love my scooter, but I still love riding with Jerry, and just it's very comfortable. It is, the V-Strom was the first most comfortable seat that I had ever been on, and this rivals that. So I can actually go for many, many miles without needing a break.
so yep. So we're not going to be getting rid of this anytime soon,
Mm-mm.
and we really do enjoy it. Okay, so
Unless
next,
they came out with another orange one, we might consider a newer. orange one again because I really like that color.
Yeah, I do like the orange. My problem is I don't want to have another payment, and it's paid
That's
off,
true.
and it's fine. So now we're going to get to Jamie's her scooter section segment, and there's a couple things. So after we talked about last week with all the scooters that we were kind of going over, really looking forward to the 360 ADV. So we're hoping that that comes over here. Um, she is going to be attending. So we're going to go to Bull Shoals in September, a rally that we go to here in Arkansas. It's a great rally. And then after that, we are going to go to Scooters of the Ozarks.
Scoot in the Ozarks.
Scoot in the Ozarks. Brad and Janine went last year after Bull Shoals. And this year, Brad is like, hey, you should come hang out and bring the little bike. So I think I'll take my little 390. And then Jamie and Janine will ride with the scooter group and do that thing.
I won't be able to do it the whole week because it actually lasts the entire week and I have to be at school. But I definitely will be partaking in some of the days.
So we're looking forward to that because that'll be kind of her first. Now, we are going to do some trips this summer where we do overnight trips where she gets out on it. Because we want to do some of that locally here in Arkansas where we kind of go out and do a day trip and then come home, that sort of thing. But we want to get her out on it and get some miles on it where she might put 300 miles on in a day just to do that.
Kind of like my first day riding it.
Yeah, kind of like, yeah. So that's what's on the agenda for that. So we're pretty close to our time.
Yep.
We're sticking out pretty good. We want to thank you guys for watching.
If you like what you see here, we would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up, hit the button, and pass this along to your friends. It doesn't cost a thing, but it does help us.
And folks, in the comments down below, tell us where you're going on your rallies this summer. Tell us what you'd like to talk about. Tell us what you'd like us to talk about. So until next time, everybody, ride safe, be kind, and let's ride.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Recording. You did good.